All right, yo, it's Trey Ocho, and we gonna get into this, right? All right. So, as the title reads, watch Marc Lamont Hill and QueenzFlip get into heated back and forth on Joe Budden Podcast episode, right? With the subtitle, "Don't Call Me a Sucker No More," Mark said at one point in the tense exchange. All right, so we gonna go through it piece by piece. You know what? Let's watch some of the clip first, and then we'll get back into the article because this is on Complex, and I'm gonna explain why I do in dislike this discourse going back and forth between Marc Lamont Hill and QueenzFlip. Right? All right.
Oh, okay, thank you. Because I don't want people, because people will hear that and think I do that.
Hold on. Let's full screen this because I think this part is, at least part of it is taken out of context, right? Because we just get this, we get this one little clip, so we don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about.
Okay, thank you. Because I don't want people, because people will hear that and think I do that.
Well, I don't know if you do it, but I
you have any reason to think I do that?
We don't know what they're talking about, right?
I don't know.
Do you have any reason to think I do that? Is what I said.
Because you just said that. You said you cracking a joke with Joe. Like, oh,
Did you crack a joke with Joe?
I don't know. Listen, what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, go ahead.
This is what I'm trying to tell you.
I think the people need to see this, yo.
Hey, here you got.
And guess what? It's going out.
It's going out.
What's the difference between what we did last week?
Just want to care about what people shouldn't see, then shut up.
Then don't say
this
it. Right.
Is going out.
I'm comfortable with everything I'm saying.
Okay. This is going right out.
I love you, Flip.
All right, everybody comfortable. Everybody's comfortable about everything everybody is saying at this moment. Apparently, right? We haven't seen the whole thing, so we don't know where it's gonna get uncomfortable or not.
I love you too.
FedEx too.
But no, I don't backbite. As a matter of fact,
next to it, separate shit.
UPS, here's the tracking link.
As a matter of fact, I don't. Because whatever you've ever told me, ain't never come out. And whatever ever happened that I witnessed to, I ain't never said shit about.
Yeah,
like, even when
we kept your secrets, nigga.
I'm not going to say it because then I'll be saying
we kept your secrets.
That's all I'm going to say.
What secrets?
I can't nobody up here say nothing.
See, I don't know if this is about snitching or it sounds like it could be somebody snitching or it could be somebody coming out of the closet. I have no fucking idea.
What
Your secrets.
We kept your secrets, boy.
What secrets?
We know your secrets.
I'll tell you off air. I'm not even going to allude to it on air.
That's
I don't move that way.
See, this is loyal.
That's not loyal.
Not that shit you do. This lawyer ain't gonna blow you up in front of millions, nigga.
Please, what you talking about?
No, and to be clear for the ones, it ain't nothing personal. It ain't about personal life. I don't want to make it sound like that because I want people to think.
You talking about anything that I tell you, niggas? Anything that happened, I can talk about,
and it's for you to talk about. What I'm saying is I won't.
So anything that I'm saying, I won't. So if you allude to it, because you say a lot of tricky words.
No, I don't.
So
I say regular words that's tricky to you.
Tricky words, funny as shit.
That's enough.
That's funny as hell. That's funny as hell. He said, "I don't say tricky words. I say words that are tricky to you." That's hilarious. And I've been in that situation before because a lot of people will try to, project their insecurities about their own intelligence on you. And, that's where I relate to Marc Lamont Hill.
Everything you do, right? Like, my nigga, you the busiest man in the world. You spend 1,000 hours trying to communicate and speak to people to be accepted by people that this community, that this nigga built through the community. I don't need to do that.
That's our job.
Nigga. I believe in myself.
That's
and I believe in what
our
I do.
job.
Our job is to come up here and work and show and put our best foot forward.
And that's what I do.
That's our job. Plus, do other shit behind the scenes.
You mean like?
See, I don't. Without getting too deep into either side. This is one of those discussions that I wish. Damn, I gotta say it. But this is why we doing this. This is one of those discussions I don't like white people seeing, but also if it's gonna be there, it's gonna be there, and then we gotta tighten up about shit, about how we come at each other, right? Because it's Marc Lamont Hill does do a thing. Like he has I think a requirement to meet people on a particular level And that's why he's on the Joe Budden podcast, right? And QueenzFlip is going to do what he's going to do regardless. And he said that. And I feel like the reason why I like Marc Lamont Hill on this podcast specifically is because he has that responsibility outside of the space that hip hop is in. Outside of this, like outside of the Joe Budden podcast, he has the responsibility of sharing information with all of the people. But when he's on the Joe Budden podcast, he has the responsibility of bringing the rest of the world on the inside there. So he's only going to do that from in the way that he knows how. I'm not saying that he ever really, and I think he executes those things very well, being him entirely the whole time. But also, let's say he a real nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that QueenzFlip is trying to remove that from him, and I understand the perspective that QueenzFlip has, because I done got tested in that way a bunch of times too. It's like, oh, you trying to do this, and this, and this, and this, and it's like, that's his responsibility. And they're talking about jobs. He's saying it's like, that's our job, and this is where that differs, right? Let's go back and see that for a second, right? Because
and put our best foot forward, and that's what I do. That's our job to the community. I don't need to do that. That's our job. Nigga. I believe in myself. That's and I believe our job. No, our job is to come up here and work and.
Wait, hold on. Let's get into the detail. Let me find out exactly where this is at.
Funny as shit.
That's another thing you do, right? Like, my nigga, you the busiest man in the world. You spend 1,000 hours trying to communicate and speak to people to be accepted by people that this nigga built through the community. I don't need to do that. That's our job. Nigga. I believe in myself.
That's
and I believe
our job.
What I do. Our job.
He spends 1,000 hours trying to, and you know what? It kind of got convoluted, all of the words, because that's just what happens when you in a heated discussion. Is like words get lost, and like intent, it's just gonna get lost, right? However, he's saying that he spends all of his time, like 1,000 hours, trying to make sure that everybody understands everything. And he's saying, and Marc Lamont Hill says, well, that's my job, because that's his job. That's not necessarily QueenzFlip's job. You know what I mean? QueenzFlip's job. That's not necessarily his job. QueenzFlip's job is to be as authentic as himself all the time, with whatever opinion he has at any given moment at a time. Now, granted, Marc Lamont Hill doesn't necessarily do that. It's not necessarily opinion that he's trying to deliver. He's trying to deliver facts in the best way that he can. Whereas QueenzFlip has opinion. It's like taking one writer or a reporter from the New York Times and taking Ezra Klein and equating the two. Now, granted, Ezra Klein has the responsibility of knowing things and then expressing his opinion, and a reporter, and I wish I could off the top remember a reporter's name from the New York Times, but a reporter literally just is supposed to just give you the information. And now I think Marc Lamont Hill has the unique position where he is trying to cipher information in the best way that he can on his platform, Al Jazeera, what other platforms is he on? So Al Jazeera might be one. He was on The Root, so he has the responsibility of saying those things from that perspective, almost, not exclusively. Like, he has to do that. He has to translate so much. Where QueenzFlip's, his job is to be QueenzFlip. And I feel like this is a kind of an unfair discussion on both of their parts, because they're saying that's our. Marc Lamont Hill is saying that's our job. That's not necessarily QueenzFlip's job. You know what I mean? So let's get back into it.
I was to come up here and work and show and put our best foot forward.
And that's what I do.
That's our job.
And that's fair. And that's fair. Put your best foot forward. Be the best QueenzFlip you can do. And then Marc Lamont Hill is going to give you the best translation of the information as he can on whatever platform he's on. Let's continue.
Do other shit behind the scenes.
You mean like promote the show?
To try to win favor. You try to win favors.
You mean like fan engagement?
You try to win favors.
All right, you're
period. To me, you try to win favors.
With the fans?
And then on top of that, even if you do win favors.
They're the fans. They're our audience.
Even if you do win favors, you try to point out everything else that nobody do. That's sucker shit to me.
When do I do that?
You try to point out.
Don't call me a sucker no more. 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 Don't call me a sucker no more.
That's sucker shit. I'm not calling you out saying that's sucker shit. I'm
So,
saying that.
this is where it gets crazy, right? Because it's like, this is where not QueenzFlip, but Marc Lamont Hill, you know, I've been in this situation because you arguing with ignorant niggas that are, you know, sometimes, and it's fun, you know what I mean? Because you boys, and then the nigga and you come out, and then it's like, you know, you out of your, I'm not gonna say out of your element, because I could very well be in your element to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying ain't nobody talking about like shooting or nothing like that. But if you're gonna fight, listen, nobody's above fighting. You know what I'm saying? And fighting is not exclusive to black people. Let's get that out of the way now. But it looks like Marc Lamont Hill is a little out of his character, and it brought something else out that, like, I don't know if he necessarily wants that image to be everywhere, but at least we get to see this side of him and recognize the humanity in all of us, right? Because I think a lot of people, you know, and then there's the Benny the Butcher thing, where everyone's so hyped up on different types of niggas, you know what I'm saying? But like, we all niggas at the end of the day. And the situations can be different, and everyone can be right, which it almost looks like it is here. And I don't know what QueenzFlip is saying that Marc Lamont Hill is necessarily doing. He's like, you like to do this thing where you behind the scenes or whatever. Like, I don't know what he's saying exactly, but maybe he'll get into it. Let's see.
I'm saying that's sucker shit. You not a sucker, but that's,
and I'm telling you, you say that sucker shit, I take it like you saying it to me. So I'm saying,
what I'm saying.
All right, let's do this. Let's both calm down. No. I'm saying,
so the funny thing about this shit is that he's triggered by the word, like, he's saying that sucker shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know what? Like, I'm not above it either. Nobody's above it, right? Like, it's like, yo, you got some shit that, like, it's like, if back in the 70s, it would have been like, you a jive turkey. It's like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? And it's like, we should be above this shit. But you know what? Like, sometimes you just really not above the shit somebody says with, you know, in a certain way. If you say some shit in a certain way, you gonna ruffle somebody's feathers. And that shit is hilarious to me. That is sucker shit. And it's like, Marc Lamont Hill, as calm and, you know, like, and poised as he is dealing with somebody saying sucker shit to him, and now he ready to fight. Cause to be fair on both sides, right? I've seen a lot of shit that was said to Marc Lamont Hill. Now he could smooth that shit off, cause he nice with the words and all that, but he did it. Okay, in this particular regard, sucker shit triggered him for some reason. He's like, oh, that's sucker shit. Now he ready to hop out of the seat, or he's like, or calm down, just like before we fight, or type shit. You know what I mean? But I've seen all types of white people and say a whole bunch of different shit, and, you know, he ain't fighting them. I mean, granted, some of those times it's like he's not necessarily on set, so. But let's see where this goes, because this shit is hilarious.
You talk behind the scenes.
Let's both calm down. Because I'm telling you right now, the way you're talking to me, I'm taking a different way. So let's both calm down.
So what does that mean, though?
I'm saying let's talk like brothers.
You don't gotta say that.
I'm saying
because what
and you ain't gotta say that sucker shit. So I'm saying let's both.
You're not a sucker, but I said the behavior that happened.
Then we good. Then we good. Then we good. Now let's get back to the show.
But that's why you.
So that argument is always hilarious. He said, I'm not saying you a sucker, but that's sucker shit to me. It's like, okay, son. This shit got me dying, bro. This shit is hilarious.
Saying that
because when you say that sucker shit, I take that as disrespectful, and I take that as to me.
Don't like sucker.
To me, so I'm trying to tell you.
But there's a lot of shit you say to niggas that we take disrespectful, but for the
and there's a lot of shit you say that I take disrespectful. Nigga, I'm not gonna talk about it on air because I'm not you.
I'm afraid.
So at the end of the day, I'm not you. This is what you do, and then I'm gonna leave this shit alone. No, fuck that. No, Imani, I'm not potting. Nigga, don't fucking say.
At the end of the day, I'm not you. Yeah. And that's what differences of opinion are, right? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, he got triggered by some shit, and I know where this comes from, and I'm gonna get to that later. But there's a little more that I want to get into it about, like, yo, he hot, like, and they're talking about shit that's like said on air or off air, and like QueenzFlip, I guess, is saying that like he'll say whatever all the time, anywhere, and he's not him. But that's what I was saying before, right? Like, they just have different styles of talking about a situation, right? But let's get into it.
What the fuck is you doing? Nigga, do you want? Are we talking or we potting?
Y'all are making.
We can talk outside or we can pot. Then let's talk outside.
Mark and Flip.
No, don't. Fuck that.
Mark and Flip. It's not fucked
No,
up.
every time you get mad, you talk to niggas like they pussy and they not.
I didn't call you pussy.
No, you call me a fucking sucker. That's the same shit. Let's talk outside. Hey, Brandon, I'm ready to get the fuck off.
Stop, Mark.
I'm not trying to draw. Let's just talk outside.
We can't talk outside.
They can talk outside.
No, y'all can talk outside. No, y'all.
I'm talking to outside.
Not outside. You're not in this hallway. Not in this hallway. You're not. Yeah, y'all take that shit up to a project block or somewhere. Yeah. What are y'all talking about?
Let's pot. That's what I said. If we
Joe Budden said, and this is where, oh my God, there's so much to unpack in this, right? Joe Budden said, y'all take that shit to a project building or something, right? Where the fuck they at? Like, they in a studio somewhere. It's not Joe Budden house, right? Or, you know, like, definitely in a studio, right? That's where they do all this shit. So, why I gotta be at a project building? So, yeah. Because arguing like niggas just can't be in front of white people, right? This is wild. And you know what? Nah, hold on, let's continue.
This is all fucking dumb shit. Either we pod or we...
Now get the fuck off.
Exactly, let's pod.
Y'all can't scare my new...
Okay, so I got all of this from Complex, right? Now you see me on the joint, these advertisements, oh my God. So you see me on Complex, and let's get into some of the, so it's explaining everything that's happening, right? Marc Lamont Hill and QueenzFlip got into decidedly heated back and forth during a Patreon exclusive podcast. So this is Patreon exclusive. I don't know how, this dude gets it. No, he pays, I guess. From the Joe Budden Network. As seen in 4-minute clip below, the tension between the two was clearly growing by the second, prompting Joe Budden himself to jokingly intervene early into the exchange to confirm that this moment would indeed be seen by the world. And it's going out, Joe Budden can be heard saying in the clip. The second y'all want to care about what people shouldn't see, then shut up. That's a fair It's a very fair way to say that. This is going out. This is going right out. FedEx too. UPS, here's the tracking link. Okay. So, here's a little bit of my problem, right? Okay, so this is, who is this that has written this? All right, so this is Trace William Cohen. And let's look at his Instagram. Yup. Exactly what I expected. It's not a black journalist sharing nigga shit. So, we as a culture kinda have to do a thing where we decide what narrative is to be controlled by the culture. What narrative are we pushing out here? And you know what, to be honest with you, I think it's like for us, hip hop culture, black culture, I think this is important for us to see. I think it's very important for us to see because this does a lot in regard to, oh my God, what happened to the original John? Yeah, okay. Bong. So, I think the thing about this, really, for me, is how do we want our shit to be seen outside of us? And, I'm going to get into something too, because I'm maybe I'm going to post this on YouTube. I just started doing this, right? But, we all saw the movie Sinners. To be honest, I think when it comes down to these type of arguments, we have to question what part of this is it okay for white people to see and what part is not okay for white people to see. What narrative are we pushing here? Because if we're gonna be ourselves and be ourselves all the time, if we're gonna be the QueenzFlips of the world, and it's like, you know what, I'm not apologizing for none of the shit that we do, never, or this type of shit, because they do it amongst themselves, right? So like everything that is happening here is like is very little difference between what white folks do amongst each other. So, with that said, it could be like, fuck it. You know what I mean? And I debate with myself, like, even as this comes out, I never know who is going to latch on to my shit, because even when it comes to my music, most of my fans are white. So I try my best to keep from using the N-word in my music a lot, even though I know I just said it in this like the entire time, but that's just how I talk when I'm amongst my people, and I feel like it's the voice in my head, right? So y'all hearing how I talk as my thoughts just hit me, right? If I'm around white folk, I filter that shit out, and a lot of people like have a problem with that because it's like, oh man, you showing out for white folks. It's like, you know what? Here's the thing, right? I'm gatekeeping black culture from white people because they don't need to be running around saying that the N-word or, like talking how I talk, to each other, or even to my mom or to anyone that's around me. Don't think that you get a pass coming out of your culture to present yourself as my culture, and like it's like, oh, now all of these white people are starting to do the thing where you know, they get like a little black scent when they get around their black friends. Don't do it, right? Or do it. But we amongst ourselves have to come up with the consensus first before it hits them. And my self-censorship of certain shit that I don't want white people doing because I do it amongst other black people starts with a what do they call it? With code switching, which I'm very good at. There's bred in it. My grandmother was a code switcher. My father's a code switcher. My mom, not so much. But even her, to a certain degree, you know, she both, like my mom has a communications degree. And my dad actually is a professor in communications. So, I have all of that in me, but it's like I grew up, I'm more around my friends and, you know, like cousins and all that. So it's like that's the part of me that most people are gonna get. That's a part of me that my parents are gonna get. But when it's like even around like certain white friends, it dials back a whole ton. Like I'm not using the N-word as much as I did in this video around most of the white folks. And it's like when I start seeing the demographics here, I'm definitely gonna shut that shit off. Now that's Marc Lamont Hill to a certain degree. It's fun sometimes in this particular video that QueenzFlip gets to like bring that out of him, because you know what, like it's kind of fun to see. But how do we want this presented? And I feel like that's a question that Joe Budden asked, and he gave the warning. It's like, this is going out. Stop now. And you know what? They didn't stop. Neither one of them stopped. But it is a conversation that we should always be having, right? Like, what part of us are we willing to share with white folks? And my personal beliefs are in mostly, and I'm ashamed to say that this is largely due to where we're at now in society, with Donald Trump in office, with just the narrative that people have about us now. It's like, do we go balls to the wall with like our culture and just put it out there, and that's just, you know, because they're gonna do what they're gonna do regardless of how we speak. If anything, there's some of it that I think that is like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So as much as it is entertaining for me to see Marc Lamont Hill stand his ground against some bullshit, like, yeah, it's bullshit and it's kind of funny, but it's going to be really interesting to see how these white folks respond to maybe having seen this, knowing that he's in all of these spaces with a lot of white folks where he has to translate our shit to them. It's just going to be really interesting. But also, in that regard too, that's not to take anything away from Marc Lamont Hill, because I feel like that's his nature. Like he doesn't really switch up too much. Like I think he changes his speech for the listener, but it's not necessarily him changing his character until now. Like his character came out, like he's ready to fight because it was like sucker, like you because he ain't like QueenzFlip calling him a sucker, and QueenzFlip is like, I'm not saying you a sucker. I'm not saying you a jive turkey. You just doing some jive turkey shit right now, which is a funny argument in itself, and that's a whole philosophical debate that's for a whole other joint, right? But like, I don't know. This is really funny to me, and I don't have like concrete opinions about it, except of everything that I share is, I guess there's just this dichotomy that's still left open, and it's really entertaining. And I do feel like they're gonna be like, boys do this all the time. You know what I mean? If my cousins are in the room and my brothers, my cousins, if we're in the room, then this is the conversations that we have. It's like, yo, you ain't just gonna call me no sucker. I didn't call you no sucker. I'm just saying you be doing some sucker shit sometimes in front of them white folks. Da 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 da. And that's a whole conversation that we would have with each other. But it's like, you never really, I mean, at least the way we grew up, it was like, watch how y'all act around them white folks. And it's like, you know what? In this climate, it's like, fuck the opinions of them white folks. So I just want to know how y'all feel about that. And I don't know, this is really comical. I'm glad I got to see this in its entirety. But like, comment, subscribe. I don't even know if it's going on YouTube, but do all that shit if you feel the need to. I'm gonna start developing this channel a little more. These are just my opinions and shit. You heard? All right, peace. 1.